On his way back from the US in the beginning of 1973, taking the sea route due to his fear of flying, Bowie spent part of his time reading Evelyn Waugh's 1930 novel, Vile Bodies. The novel is a carnivalesque romantic comedy about the lives of the bright young things, which was the preferred moniker for the time's bohemians and socialites. The heroes are young Britons who live a frivolous lifestyle, on a constant merry-go-round of partying, drinking, gossiping, winning and losing money, and treating romantic attachments in the most flippant way. However, we sometimes get hints that something bad is brewing on the horizon, hints that are ignored and repressed by the heroes. In the final pages of the novel, a war suddenly breaks, and the heroes are whisked away into, quote, the biggest battlefield in the history of the world. War was obviously still under the impression of World War I, and consequently, he prophetically envisioned that an even bigger war was coming. But how do his heroes react to it? Even in the middle of the battlefield, they carry on behaving in the exact same way, drinking champagne and prattling nonsense, while the war around them rages on. Bowie, naturally, felt an affinity. The songs he'd been writing of late had the same vibe, the same duality, on the one hand celebrating the success and glamour of himself, inflated by his encounter with the success and glamour of America, but on the other hand sensing that there was something wrong under the surface. Watch That Man is a wild New York party that sounds like a lot of fun, but hellish scenes seep into it, and it makes the hero feel fake and hollow. The Gene Genie relishes in the individual freedom of its hero, but also emanates a stark sense of alienation. Cracked Actor shows a Hollywood star who has made it to the top, but lost himself on the way. And Panic in Detroit depicts the urban jungle festering under the facade of successful industrial America. In all these songs, the truth ends up breaking to the surface, just like it does in Vile Bodies. It occurred to Bowie that Waugh's ominous hunches reflected his own, and that the devil-may-care attitude that he experienced in the States was also hiding a reality that was about to break to the surface. Aladdin Sane, 1913, 1938, 1970, dramatizes this insight. The title already says it all. Aladdin lives in the twilight between being Aladdin Sane and Aladdin Insane, although you have to wonder which part of him is insane. The one that sees the horrific truth, or the one that goes about merrily without caring about it. And the parenthesized dates show that we are, once again, on the eve of a catastrophic world war. From this twilight zone, the song slowly creeps into our psyche. It starts rather pretty, actually, with a lush piano setting up a romantic mood. Bowie comes in like a crooner, although there is irony in his voice.
Watching him dash away, swinging an old bouquet, dead roses, sake and strange divine. You'll make it.
The hero seems to be on his way to or from a romantic meeting, but his bouquet is old and the roses are dead. It brings to mind an image of someone who is so poor that he cannot afford new flowers as he goes on his romantic pursuits, an image that would fit in the 30s, but sounds rather out of place in the early 70s. I believe Bowie is referring to spiritual poverty, and that our hero is quite dead emotionally, unable to produce fresh love. The hero believes he's living the divine life, drinking sake at parties and dreaming of making it big, but his life is actually empty.
Passion with bright young things takes him away to war. Don't fake it, sagging with sandal strings. You'll make it.
This part points at Waugh's Vile Bodies, whose original title was Bright Young Things. The heroes are suddenly taken to war, and their romantic string music turns to notes of sadness. This time, the "you'll make it" sounds not as a promise of making it big in the jet-set life, but rather as making it out alive from the war. But he can only make it if he stops faking it and faces the reality of his existence.
We'll love Aladdin, Sane. Battle cries and champagne, just in time for sunrise. We'll love Aladdin, Sane.
The nature of Aladdin's life is war and destruction, combined with partying and drinking to hide that nature from his eyes. The just in time for sunrise reminds us of rock and roll suicide, where the hero hurries home so he won't have to face the sun and see the truth of his existence. The only way to transcend this existence is to find someone or something to love, but Aladdin, swinging the same old bouquet as he moves from one romantic interest to another, just can't find it. The line, "Who will love Aladdin Sane?" becomes clearer when we remember that Bowie's initial idea was to call his hero Aladdin Vain. This would have made the name into a different pun, depicting Aladdin as a vain rock star, or as a lad who leads his life in vain. And the line would have then become another pun still, as it asks who will love this hero Aladdin Vain, or who will love this lad in vain. All true love's in vain, once sang Robert Johnson in one of his blues classics, and went on to tell us that when the train left the station, it had two lights on behind. Well, the blue light was my baby, and the red light was my mind. So here we come back to insanity, back to Aladdin Sane, and the memory of Johnson's song makes the picture even darker. Even if one finds true love, it will end up being a love in vain, and cause him to lose his mind.
Motor sensational, Paris or maybe hell. I'm waiting, clutches of sad remains. Waits for Aladdin Sane. You make
The glamorous / horrific duality is strengthened as we wonder if we are going to Paris or to hell. Motor sensational sounds like something fabulous, like Grand Prix races. In Vile Bodies, the heroes join a car race, which serves as an allegory for their lives, constantly running around in circles. But it is probably just a pun on motor sensation, the feeling of movement in our bodies. It is all just movement, with no real meaning. Meanwhile, Aladdin still waits for something meaningful to happen, a love that will descend on him, but the narrator tells us that all that awaits him is the possibility to clutch some sad remains of things that were meaningful in the past. It reminds us of Drive-In Saturday, and some other Bowie songs, where the heroes have passed their prime, and can only hold on to what has been. The music, up to this point, retains its dreamy romantic atmosphere, as we still dream of making it somehow. But then, the piano goes into convulsions, and violently destroys the mood. While the lyrics remain vague throughout, Mike Garson's piano is assigned the job of transferring the horror of contemporary existence in a series of dissonant chords that won't let go until they shatter every shred of the romantic illusion that Bowie was weaving. By the time Bowie returns, our nerves are shot to pieces.
will love Aladdin Sane.
The final blow. Aladdin must find love quick, because there might not even be a tomorrow. Bowie's anxiety goes much deeper than wars. We are in the nuclear age now, and the next world war will probably be the end of it all. Aladdin Sane 1913, 1938, 1970 ? Rehashes themes we already met many times in Bowie songs. The fear of impending doom, the feeling that all meaningful paths have already been taken, the fear that the good times are behind us, and the yearning for love, coupled with the awareness of its transience. The invention of Ziggy provided an answer to these problems, creating a new meaningful path, a fresh and exciting love. Aladdin Sane shows Bowie looking at the world beyond the glamour of Ziggy, and discovering that all these problems are still there and about to break onto the surface of his life once again, popping the Ziggy bubble and breaking it into tiny drops that come pouring down like piano notes from hell.